You determine how much masturbating you do.
You're ready to be premature all over again.
Wow, that's impressive.
Quick
bro.
reset.
Yeah.
Quick reset.
Yeah, that's right. Licking gin balls.
It's just going to be a vicious cycle.
Who knew the job was pro bono?
I was so high that I shit myself at some point.
Okay, get still here. Somebody, everybody mute. Goddamn, you're killing me.
Joke's on you. It's actually addicting.
There's nothing wrong with punching above your weight.
To play with you.
better. Well,
I don't know what's worse. You're a ginger or you've been vaccinated.
You sit around and drink and solve the world's problems, right?
Hey, let's go ahead and unwrap this present
So,
and let the debate begin.
Welcome back to another episode of A Spirited Debate. New week, new topic. Unfortunately, we do not have 50% of our cadre. Two of our individuals are missing today, so our hosts are gone. The Grinch and Haas will not be joining us, but that's okay. I've got the mouth of the South, Big Mac. He plans to do a shit ton of talking for you today. So I know you're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get this started. Mac, how are you doing, brother?
Woohoo!
Look at that. That's the energy
Look
we're
at
talking
that.
about right
Somebody has got to bring the energy that Grinch has left out of the
there. That's right. When
the
you
show
don't
this
have,
week.
when you don't
Punk-ass
have
bitches.
50%
I tell
of
you,
your show, you have to pick up the extra
something or another.
I lost it there. Doesn't matter. We're
we have
moving on.
nobody here to reel us in. So,
That's
you
it.
know,
I
this is
don't
going to
do a
be a
good
complete
job.
shit show. Just to go ahead and set the stage.
It doesn't matter. I'm happy you're here, brother. That's all that counts.
And I'm happy that you're here.
Thanks for joining me. Been a busy week, a lot going on. Football started back. You know, obviously the guys not being here left you and I to our own devices to come up with a topic. I think we landed on a good one. It'll be interesting to see how this one falls out. But obviously, before we do that, let's get to our drinks. I'll go first so that I don't put you on the spot since there's only two of us. So I'm going to go first. So my drink today, you've done a Bloody Mary. I've done a Bourbon Mary. And so I decided to go in a different direction with that same thing. And I decided to do a Bloody Maria.
Does your wife know about this?
Yes. I said, hey, this is in honor of you. And she's like, get that out of my fucking face. So I did a Bloody Maria. So it's basically the Bloody Mary. I mean, it's Bloody Mary mix, Tabasco sauce, Worcestershire sauce, horseradish sauce, fresh squeezed lemon juice, fresh squeezed lime juice. And then I added tequila, the Rocks Terramana tequila. I got my bottle of the Reposado because I'd had the Blanco. And so I'm trying the Reposado. And of course, very quickly just plowing through it, which is maybe not the healthiest of things to do, but it is actually quite good. So I made myself a Bloody Maria. I'm going to try it for the first time right here and see how it is. Now, I know you're going to be disappointed, and I apologize. I did not make my own Bloody Mary mix. I had this
bullshit.
I'm
out.
So it's just me today. Okay.
Yep.
It's a bold and spicy. And so
Nice.
my concern is because I added like black pepper and Tabasco and horseradish on top of a bold and spicy Bloody Mary mix. I'm not sure how this one's going to be.
Have
but
fun with that.
yeah, and I didn't do because it was like top it with fucking sweet peppers and jalapeno peppers and queso fresco. And I was like, I don't need the meal. I just want the drink. So I just did a lemon and a lime wedge, which it also called for. So
It's very pretty. Just presentation is a lot when you make a drink. So you
It
won
is.
that. Smooth.
wow.
Got a
Hold
banana
on
in
a
your throat.
second.
And this
That's
is starting off bad already.
That's a
Big
little
piece of pepper?
spicy. Jesus Christ.
I mean, you've had a lot of, well, never mind.
Hmm.
Bad
Yeah.
jokes are going to go into the
No,
go by the
no.
wayside.
No bad jokes. We're all about bad jokes. Yeah, that's a little spicy. It's going to take some effort to get through this. Maybe it was just
Maybe just the first
Maybe-
swallow. No.
no. Wow. Okay,
So-
that's gonna be fun to get through.
Bold and
Damn.
spicy clearly was not enough of a warning for you. You decided, fuck this. I'm adding more to it because they're a bunch of pussies.
Jesus Christ. Okay, that's gonna be I'll get through it. It's not going to waste, but it actually tastes good. It tastes really good. It's just got that heat on the back end.
And the front end.
Oh, holy shit. That's a full-bodied flavor. So I am doing the incredibly spicy Bloody Maria. That's what I'm doing. So Bloody Mary, but it's basically with just tequila. And that's my drink of choice today. Say a small prayer for me that I get through this in one piece, please. All right. Mac, what did you bring to the table?
So I'm having an orgasm.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Did you want to know what drink I'm having?
Yes, please.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize that's what you were asking. I'm having an orgasm. It is supposed to be done as a shot, as we've done a couple of those drinks that, are supposed shots. But we do nothing small around here. So I'm making it as a sipping drink.
So you
But it is,
upscaled it.
yes. Yeah. It is equal parts amaretto, Kahlua, and coffee liqueur. I use the Kirkland as opposed to Bailey's coffee liqueur. Pour them all together, shake them over ice, and then strain them into just like, a little, again, should be a shot glass. Since I didn't do the original, half ounce of everything, I poured them into a slightly bigger glass. And I'm going to try it for the first time.
Before you start, it's equal parts what again?
Amaretto,
Okay.
Kahlua, and like Bailey's Irish cream.
And it's called an orgasm?
It is called an orgasm.
That's weird because Haas's version of that are equal parts of foreplay, butt play, and cuddling. But that's his thing. That's clearly not your thing.
I think they're equal parts, though. I don't think he does as much cuddling.
Cuddling?
I don't know. I could be
Foreplay,
wrong.
I touch you. Let's get to the butt play.
Yes, exactly. I don't think there's equal parts of anything there.
That's right. I've winked at you.
So,
That's our foreplay.
That's
Let's
it.
go. Oh, yeah. Look at that face, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see it.
The O face.
Is that the purpose of the drink? Is you pull a stupid face?
Apparently so. That's not bad. I think much like when we did the other ones that were shots and we made them sippers, it's awful sweet. So, it'll be interesting to try and get all the way through it, but I don't think I'll have as much problem as you're going to have getting through your Collins glass of the Bloody Maria.
I mean, Bailey's, Kahlua, and amaretto are all sweet just by
all
nature.
Sweet. Yeah, exactly.
And nothing to cut it, right? That's it?
No, that's it. Like I said, you shake it over ice and then strain it into a glass.
But it's not on ice.
No, it's not on ice.
No,
I guess you could put it on ice. I did not.
Because the shot obviously wouldn't.
Yeah, how would you get a piece of ice in a shot glass? It's a little difficult, and then try and shoot the ice.
Tiny little cube.
I know you can swallow things, but the rest of us have a little more trouble with the gag reflex. So.
You don't seem to be struggling right there, ladies and gentlemen. If you could see this,
you'd be disgusted. So.
Yes, off to a phenomenal start. That's how we are.
Hoss, Grinch, when you guys listen back to it, it's your fucking fault.
That's right.
You should have been here.
Exactly. If you can't contribute, you're just stuck with the end product. That's how it works.
That's it.
So sorry about you. Obviously, Mac, thanks for being here. Cheers to you.
No, cheers. Happy to be here with you.
Cheers to the two gentlemen that aren't here. I'm sorry they're
pour
not
a little
here.
bit out. We would pour a little bit out for them, but that's wasteful, so we're not going to do that.
That is. As Haas would say, I am pouring it out down my gullet.
That's it.
Problem solved.
I'll pour it out later for you. So, yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this topic. I know this will be a good one just for you and I, because I don't think the other two are as much into what we're going to talk about today. But I'll let you go ahead and introduce that if you'd like to.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we started talking about this topic, for me, it was just kind of innocuous in terms of something that I thought you and I could debate for an hour or talk. Doesn't have to necessarily be debate. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I wonder if there is a debate here. I wonder if a debate does exist. And I'll find that out as I pose some of my questions to you or pose my opinions about certain things just to get your response. But let's waste no time. Jumping into the topic for this week, we thought might be an interesting one. And please don't judge us because I know Mac has already come out of the gate saying this is something that he and I are more invested in than the other two individuals. And that's an assumption we're making. I think you would agree. We don't know for sure. Well, I guess we'll find out when they listen back to us.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
We would have to have a part two.
That's possible. That's possible. The topic, though, of this week is reality shows. And I think when this started, for our listeners at home, Mac and I are currently invested in a specific reality show. And I didn't want this hour plus, whatever it is, to be focused just on that show. So while we will talk about that reality show, I did want to kind of dive into what reality shows are, kind of where they started, what are some major players in the reality show genre historically, in terms of what have been around. But more importantly, when I started thinking about it, I wanted to talk about what is a reality show and what constitutes a reality show and are what some people think of reality shows. Because I think I have a very specific idea of what a reality show is and should be. And I don't think, because I started Googling like reality shows and it was this is, and this is, and this is. And I was like, I don't agree with that. And this I'm curious to get your take on in terms of like what you think of as a reality show. But before we do that, obviously this topic is about reality shows. Little history. I Googled and found out that do you know what the first reality show historically is?
Historically, no, but I do believe it goes back to like the 1950s. I did see that, but I could be wrong on that. And I feel like I am wrong based on your look there on your face. So go ahead.
Well, actually, the technically the first reality show on record was actually a radio show, and you were close. And it was called, I'm sure you know the show Candid Camera. Do you remember that show? Yeah. And it was called.
I did not realize that was a radio show though at first.
It wasn't. It was called The Candid Microphone initially.
Well, that's just fucking retarded. Sorry,
and you said in
my language, but I know. How does that work?
I don't know. But obviously, because radio was obviously the medium of the day, TV hadn't been released in wide use. But and once it was released, they changed Candid Microphone. They just replaced the microphones with cameras, and it became Candid Camera. But that was in 1947. So you were close. You said the 1950s, 1947. But that was kind of the first historically reality-based series, which I thought was interesting. And
but nowhere near what you would, again, when you think of reality TV today,
right? Modern.
That would not be, clearly it is. I mean, it's reality TV. It's people in real world situations. It's probably more reality than what you would consider today to be a reality TV show, I would imagine.
And
we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah. In some ways, I would agree with that. And I think that's part of what started me going, well, what is a reality show? And a lot of things that fall into that genre, are they truly reality shows? In terms of, I guess, my approach to reality and what I think, and everybody's going to have a different opinion, but that was the first one. So historically, it was Candid Microphone, which became Candid Camera. And then if you fast forward now, we're going to jump into our generation because obviously that's what's going to be relevant to us. My first, what's the word?
Kind of foray or experience with reality TV.
My first experience with reality TV would have been in 1992. I was a kid of the 80s, early 90s, obviously MTV generation. Was The Real World on MTV, New York City.
Pretty much ruined MTV at that point, because from that point on, there were no more music videos on MTV.
Right. That's when they started this downhill spiral. Well, now they've got 47 channels.
Yeah, the first one, I think you said, it was in
Real World, New York City. Yeah. And it is the second longest running reality show going. Can you tell me what the first is?
Survivor.
No, that's actually older or younger because that started in 2000.
Well, I know it started later, but I didn't know if it had been running longer.
No,
time-wise, as far,
They made a movie with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
Oh, Cops.
Cops. There you go. The theme song, Bad Boys. Yep. That is actually 32 years old. That's the longest running reality-based TV show in the modern era of reality shows.
But again, that brings back to the question of, very, very different formats in terms of the television show, right? I mean, you have kind of staged filming when you're talking about Real World New York and any of the Real World series after that. Whereas with, say, Cops, that might actually be more reality, right? I mean, that is somebody riding along with the police, and you would like to think there's nothing scripted there. We all know that there possibly is, but I would think that would be more of what you would consider reality TV than, say, 8 people living in a loft in New York City. Because look, that might be somebody's reality. It's not mine.
Sure shit isn't yours,
right?
But if you haven't seen Real World, Paramount Plus, and this is not a plug for Paramount Plus, obviously, but Paramount Plus has the episodes of Real World.
Right. But if they want us to plug them, we
will absolutely
shamelessly happy to take their money.
Paramount Plus. But yeah, so if you go on Paramount Plus, you can watch old episodes of The Real World. And it was interesting. I went back and I watched the first few episodes and I was like, why was I into this? Like at that time, being in high school myself, and these people were just fresh out of high school, late teens, like 19, 20 or early 20s. And it was 8 individuals, Mac, as you said, that were kind of plucked from wherever they were from and stuck in this really nice loft in downtown New York City. And the approach to the show was, let's see how these 8 people from completely different backgrounds, completely different walks of life interact with each other when they're forced to live together. I think that's even the kind of the motto of the show. When people start living together, like stop acting nice or whatever.
What happens when people stop acting nice and be real, or something
right.
very much along those lines. Yes.
Yeah. And it was interesting to watch it, not really kind of having this idea of what reality TV was, but going, oh my God, all these people from different walks of life crammed in, and you watch this dichotomy and how they interact and how they learn about each other and their backgrounds, and obviously the fights and the drama that occur and how they get along. But to me, that was them being taken out of their comfort zone and stuck in a situation. Now, it wasn't like modern TV reality shows where people are stuck in a super nice mansion and all they do is sit around and drink and swim and suntan. Those people still had day jobs.
Yeah, they still had jobs they had to go to. And
right.
I mean,
so at least in that regard, it wasn't, for 2 months or 3, I think it was 3 months, the show was aired for each segment. For 3 months, they actually had to go out and live their lives, but they just came home to the same loft with those people.
Right.
And had to deal with each other. Nowadays, you see, it's people, like I said, stuck in a high-end mansion, and all they're doing is eating and drinking and suntanning all day. It's like, whose reality is that?
Yeah,
sure as fuck isn't mine.
Clearly not mine.
Right.
But maybe that's the appeal to it, right? Is, I can go and be part of that and get basically a vacation, right? And potentially, win some money. And again, to me, some of those, when we, you're talking about like the Big Brothers, I think, the Love Island series,
Survivor.
Some of those,
even Survivor,
where they're
in
actually,
a way.
They're more of reality competition than they are reality TV, right? Because
right.
ultimately, it's a competition. It's there to to find love or to win a big prize at the end, or potentially both. So and you mentioned Survivor. To me, a Survivor is not really what I would guess. I would consider it more reality contest than TV, because again, it's just people that are put on an island, and then they're run through all these different scenarios to see who can win at different challenges and stuff, and not get voted off the island.
Right.
I don't see that more, so much as reality TV, or what I would want to consider reality TV.
Okay.
And then, like I say, just a contest.
And see, that's I think the point I started thinking about, and that's why I'm glad you said that. I'm curious about your opinion and approach to reality TV, because yes, to me, those are what they have called reality competitions, and that is actually a subset of reality TV, but that's not reality TV. And
right.
and that to me was the interesting part about it, is it's like you're claiming reality TV, but I saw a list and it was like the Great British Baking Show or Top Chef, or what all these cooking shows, and I'm like, cooking shows aren't reality TV. That's you being placed in an environment for a very short, finite amount of time to bake a cake or to make a burger. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me,
it's potentially, I guess you could call it unscripted TV, right?
Okay.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's reality TV, like you said, but it's. And I use the term unscripted very loosely because there is some format to the show, but there are things that could potentially go wrong that aren't taken into account. Whereas, you start looking at, any of the scripted television, which are your sitcoms, your dramas, all that stuff. I mean, there's a script written for them,
right.
A to B or A to Z. This is how the whole thing's going to go. You look at some of those shows like, The Great Bake Off or Celebrity Chef or any of that stuff. There's a general format there, but there are things that can go wrong in the context of the show. So it is not truly scripted television from that standpoint, but it's not, like you said, it's really not reality TV.
No, and that was the thing where I started to think about, because it's like reality TV, television programming in which real people are continuously filmed and designed for entertainment rather than to be informative. I think that's just a natural yes, absolutely. But part of it was also that I saw was it's like you're taking ordinary people and putting them in real life situations. Like that's part of like cops.
Right.
Those are real cops dealing with what they would go through in a normal base.
Which you would assume are real situations where you have people just filming their interaction with,
Now, one of the biggest ones, which I used to be a huge fan of in the early 2000s, because I didn't really think of it as reality TV, because for me, I guess reality TV was your Survivors, your Big Brothers. It was the competition, was Deadliest Catch, because that was Discovery Channel's big one where they followed the crab fishermen in Alaska.
Which was a really good show.
But it wasn't a competition. It was just following what those day-to-day lives were like in that extreme environment, doing a very specific job that only a handful of people do.
But here's my question on that, right?
Okay.
Is it really reality? Because, and the reason I ask that question, right? I mean, you have cameras on board, you have people interacting with them. I mean, this has always been the stigma and or question about reality TV is, are some of those scenarios set up? Right. Do they kind of put them in positions, obviously not to get injured, because that is, a very dangerous job, but, do they put them in, positions where, they kind of create make-believe drama, not really make-believe, but, not real drama.
You're asking, are there certain aspects of it devised by the producers to create certain situations they know that will lead to drama, which makes it more enticing for viewers?
A little bit of that, right? And then, of course, it's also edited to
a certain way
to make things look a certain way as well, right? We've seen that before on all of the reality, competitions and TV shows. It's edited to make you feel empathy for this person or to not like this person, even though they may be the nicest person in the world,
right? And I think that some of the stuff I was looking at, like people that have been on these shows have then come out after the fact, and that's what they've said. It's like, I got out and I was treated like shit by people because I was portrayed as this individual, and I'm like, I'm totally not that individual. And you try to explain it to them, but all they know of you is what they're seeing spliced and edited from the production company. It's like, that's not who I am. I'm not that person.
And you look at, and again, we'll mention, because this is kind of what we've been watching, thanks to Mrs.
Don't
Thor.
say it. No, just kidding.
Love Island, right?
Love Island. Exclusively Love Island UK.
Others on this call have delved into the Australian version and the US version because
I don't judge you, brother. I don't judge
they
you.
They have no life.
That's right. I don't judge.
But you stop and think about it. They're in there for what?
6 to 8 weeks, depending on the season. 6 to 8 weeks. Yep.
So you're seeing an hour-long episode, or maybe 2 hours a week. So clearly they're dropping a lot of footage. So you're not seeing the true day-to-day interactions.
Right.
You're seeing what the editors and producers want you to see to make everything look a certain way.
Absolutely.
And it would be interesting to see, and maybe they've done this, and I don't know. Put 8 people in a villa or in a condo or whatever. Hook up cameras. There's cameras everywhere now, right? And just put it on, the internet. And you sit there and you watch. You become that would be truly reality TV, I think. Where you just watch them. It's almost voyeuristic, right? And then what was that, the Truman Show, I think, with Jim Carrey?
And they also
kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, they also did. I think it was Ed TV with Matthew McConaughey.
Ed TV with Matty McConaughey. All right.
Right.
So,
man, have you ever seen a reality TV show? No, be a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, and I didn't think about this until we started kind of researching the topic for today. Something that kind of occurred, in our formative years back in the 90s. I want to say it was 91 or 92, maybe.
Okay.
But don't hold me to that. But it was a big deal. It was all over the TV, and according to a couple of websites, is actually considered probably true reality TV, and that would be the O.J. Simpson trial.
Yes.
You wouldn't necessarily think of that, when you think of reality TV, you think of these kind of unscripted, where you put people in specific situations. But that would kind of be real reality TV, right? I mean, they're kind of following I mean, obviously there was the high speed chase that, all the media and everybody followed and covered. And then the subsequent trial that, all the stations, interrupted all their programming to pretty much air that almost, 24/7, or at least as long as the court was open. So, to me, I guess the question is, would you consider that to be maybe a real form of reality TV?
Truthfully, yes. I mean, it's like cops. I mean, because
Right.
our assumption is when you watched cops, they were real cops in real life situations dealing with real life criminals. I would say that is the exact same thing. And of course, it was weird because at the time, it's like the LA riots. I mean, because at the time, like everything was filmed. You were
Right.
seeing everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. Same thing with the OJ trial was, it was not 24/7, but it almost felt
Right.
like 24/7 because it was everywhere at the time. So yeah, I would absolutely say that is.
I mean,
Or-
I guess go ahead, sir.
I was going to say the war in Iraq in 91. Same thing. I mean, that was for us, our generation. That was the first war televised on TV. Every night you could sit at home and you could watch the bombing of Baghdad.
Right. Right. And that's why, we get along so well, because that's exactly where I was going. Right. And you beat me to it. But you're right. I mean, that was, I mean, that to me would be more reality TV than anything else. Right. And I mean, I hate to use the word reality TV in reference to any sort of a war or anything like that, because it's
Right.
just, that's not what you want to say, but it kind of is.
And it was the reality of the situation.
Right. I mean, that's what was going on. And like you said, I think that was shortly after kind of, CNN, pretty much had gone 24/7, so you had those news channels that, wasn't like you were just watching the evening news and getting all your information in, 30 minutes.
Right.
I mean, you tuned in 9 o'clock at night. Like you said, you were watching, people reporting from hotels in Baghdad as the bombs were going off.
So by your
during the air raids.
justification, news is reality TV and reality TV is a farce.
I haven't really thought about that, so I don't want you to put me on the spot, but I don't know that I could argue with that right now. Right. I mean, that,
One we haven't talked about, and I won't say one, but in terms of the types of shows, music competitions, America's Got Talent or Voice, American Idol, whatever, like those aren't realistic in terms of their approach. Nobody comes up in the music industry or tries to break into the music industry in that way. That's not.
They didn't. I think they do. Right. I mean, I think
because
that
now
is
there's a platform.
Right. I think that's a platform for people to get into the music industry without having to struggle like, people did in the past.
Right. But I mean,
I don't want to say they're not struggling. I mean, but it provides you with a platform to get to that point that, you didn't necessarily have to be in LA or New York or Nashville, any of the big cities where you would consider, music, I guess, kind of centers of music. You could be anywhere. And a lot of that comes back to the internet and YouTube, right? I mean,
right.
The ability to get out there and get your music listened to.
And I don't want to confuse the situation and say that it isn't great that those people that wouldn't normally have access to be able to do it were now given a platform and access to do it. I'm saying by calling it reality TV, it's not, because it's not realistic. Everything is produced in terms of you're now put in this very specific environment and you're giving very specific criteria. It isn't you getting a van and loading all your shit in it and driving from shithole town to shithole town
Right.
and playing in a dive bar for beer money, trying to get yourself noticed. I'm not disputing the platform they're giving people. I think it's great. I'm just saying I don't think I can call it reality TV.
Well, no, I don't think it is reality TV, right? I mean, again, it would be maybe unscripted television, but, to your point, and American Idol was heavily criticized for this. It was certainly in, the early stages of every season. I mean, they pretty much, only showed the bad people, that didn't make it. I mean, it was almost, making fun of them. And they saved some of the other people, for later on, the people that were making it through to, making it through
The
to Hollywood or whatever.
competition portion.
Right. They were using the people that just showed up, and were wanting to try and get famous. And they did, right? I mean, what was it? William Hung was like the, probably the most famous person. She bang, right?
You got
I
your
mean,
15 minutes of fame.
people still remember that, right? So
absolutely. And that's not
So,
to say
again,
that there
that
weren't
was-
people that showed up that people like, who's this fucking person? And then they blew them away. Like, I
Right.
get that occurred. Absolutely.
right. But yeah, I mean, I think that's an indication of where they kind of edited and produced it to be a certain way. So from that standpoint, to me, that no longer is reality.
And it's interesting because we've had 2 guests on the show that came up in American Idol. And they could sit here and tell us you both are talking out your ass. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And they'd be
And
absolutely right.
I would love to have them on and maybe discuss, maybe we should have waited and tabled this conversation for when we had them on.
No, hush you.
But I mean, you're right. They could absolutely be like, no, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Right.
And we would then immediately boot them from the
and never
Zoom
talk to them
call
again.
and never talk to them again. No,
it's conjecture on our part. I mean, I do think
I
about
assume.
things.
Well, no, it's
Right.
clearly edited, in my opinion.
I mean, in terms
a certain
of
way, but right.
how much production is pulling the strings in the background to foster certain storylines and things like that. Like, we don't know, and it is conjecture. One of the things I did read was on, I don't watch it, I've never watched it, The Bachelor and Bachelorette. I know you're a huge fan, and I don't judge.
When you say you haven't watched it, that means you've watched it, just so you know.
Oh, is that what that means?
Thou dost protest too much.
I've never seen porn.
That's bullshit.
No, I was reading a thing about Bachelor and Bachelorette. They said when whittling down who their contestants would be, the production company, they were so meticulous, they could almost tell you who would be in the top 3. They did it that way so that they could manage the situation from the get-go. The research that went into just picking the contestants before a day of filming ever started. And it's like, then that's not reality. That's not realistic. You're managing the situation from the get-go and leading the audience. And I get it, but then just don't call it reality TV. Call it something else.
You and I have had this discussion again, and we'll come back to Love Island. I'm sure it's very similar to The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, any of those, what you would consider love or dating competitions. It's, 6 guys, chiseled bodies, 6 packs. I mean, again,
where's the fat kid?
Yeah, why am I not in there, right? Bring me in there.
Right.
And then let's call it reality TV.
Represent me.
Okay. Yeah, represent and again, look, there are people out there, I know, don't get me wrong. My not having a 6-pack's my own fault. I get that.
You have 6-pack. It's in the fridge. Don't you fucking
exactly.
lie.
Well, it's a 5-pack now.
It's
but yeah,
5-pack. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you're not representing a good cross section, I guess is the way I'm looking at it, right? You're only pulling in one specific kind of group of people. So how is that reality again, right? There's so many things wrong with using the term, and again, I don't fault these shows. I mean, like you said, we watch them, or at least we'll watch, the Love Island series. It's the train wreck that you kind of can't look away from to some extent. And for nothing else, to me, it's 45 minutes of mindless entertainment that I don't have to think about, right? You check out, you're not thinking about anything else that's going on. And so from that standpoint, I think it's good, right? There's nothing that you're going to, start crying over, hopefully. I mean, I know you probably do when, somebody gets booted off the island.
There have been some emotional moments. Absolutely.
So
look, I'm going to tell you, you haven't seen it. Love Island, Australia. There's a cat on Love Island, Australia.
They bring cats on? Nice.
Yeah. This guy, surprisingly enough, when you see him, you're going to be like, this guy's got to be a fucking asshole. He just has his appearance, and it was totally judgmental. I mean, my wife and I both like, right. And absolutely the most stand-up guy on the show. And when he got booted off, I was like, fuck. Because it's like, you felt bad.
Yeah. You almost become a part of their journey, I guess. Yeah. And that's kind of that's what they're going for, right?
Like, he knew it was coming down to this. And again, if you, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry.
Which I haven't. Thank you very much.
He does get voted off near the end. But I felt bad for the guy because the girl that's got to vote him off, he knows he's going. And she's all crying. And he walks over to her and he's like, it's okay. Just make the decision. Like, right. We know it's what you're doing. I'm okay with it. You need to be okay with it. Like, super stand-up guy. And I felt bad when he got voted off. Now, what I don't feel bad about
reality would be, You're not voting my ass off, bitch. You're
Right.
going. Whatever. I'm staying in the free villa.
Now, the reality of the situation is he got off. He went home. He jacked up his Instagram
I
followers
thought
by
you were going somewhere else
300.
with that, but okay.
Yeah, by 300,000 followers, and suddenly he's making money. You know what I'm saying? So
And that right there touches on something else that I think is very important to talk about when you talk about, certainly in today's society and age, is a lot of this is a platform for these people to promote their brand.
yes,
Or kind of create and promote their brand, because they go in there, they're not really anybody, and they come out, and the next thing you know, they're opening restaurants, they're involved in horse racing, they're making appearances. They've gone from 20 Instagram followers, hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers. So they kind of become, I almost want to say, they're not influencers. That's not really the right term for it, but they become internet celebrities or, Instagram celebrities.
well, and again, you'll watch some of these, and again, we're speaking, or I am, to Love Island. Is they'll come in and I'm like, oh, I'm a bartender. That's what I'm doing when I came in, and then when they get out, they're like, oh, what's your job now? I'm a social media influencer. Not bartending. No,
that doesn't happen anymore.
because I have 500,000 followers. I don't need to. I go click.
People
I post
pay
a picture.
me
Right.
to post pictures of, their liquor.
It's
Which,
like,
again, anybody listening, we're happy to sell our souls. If you want to pay us to promote your liquor, we will do it.
that's right.
Without a doubt. We are shameless. We will
But even
absolutely do it.
even getting sucked into the Love Island fucking train wreck. Season 1, I was a huge fan of Jonathan and Hannah. And this means nothing to anybody that hasn't seen it. But if you hadn't seen it, you can go out and find
Go
it
watch
somewhere.
it. It's
Go watch it.
interesting. And it's interesting to see, and I'll let you get back to it, but you bring up, season 1. You can see kind of the production value too, right? There wasn't a whole lot of investment in season 1, right? And they brought in, I don't want to say, I would say more realistic people in season 1.
Right.
But go
more
ahead.
of your day-to-day, down to earth folks.
Yeah, not
the
people looking to
chiseled-
become internet. Well, I don't know. What's his name was pretty. The Hulk.
Yeah,
was
the
pretty
Hulk
damn
was a big
cut.
motherfucker.
Everybody now has to go watch season 1, if nothing else, of Love Island, just so you know what we're talking about. Go ahead, sir.
Right. But the frustrating thing for me is I watched all of season 1 and I was super gung-ho. I was like, Jonathan and Hannah, they coupled up. And the premise of Love Island, for those of you who don't know, is they bring in 6 guys and 6 girls, or 5 guys and 5 girls, I believe is what it is, that are total strangers. And the purpose is for 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the season, they're supposed to find love, and they're supposed to couple up. They're supposed to, try to find a committed relationship to be in. They share everything. They sleep together in the same bed. And so it forces them into this situation to see if they're compatible, if there's chemistry. So that's the premise of the show. And if there's a winning couple, the winning couple at the end wins 50,000 pounds, English pounds, which comes out to whatever in US dollars, 60,000 US dollars.
Well,
that they can split with their partner if they choose to. But the interesting thing is they pose it this way: total strangers shoved into this high-end villa. And Mac, as you said, season 1 maybe wasn't so high-end, but by the time they got to season 6,
right, it's still, they're sitting around drinking. Well, I shouldn't say drinking. They have a few drinks,
eating, have a few drinks,
but
sun
yeah, they're
tanning.
sitting around the pool sun tanning all day, right? Again,
They're not allowed to leave.
Not
no
my
TVs.
reality. No TV, no internet, no content.
Right.
I mean, I think they're given phones to use, but only inside of the villa.
Right.
So they have no communication with the outside world.
Right. Don't have any idea what's going on. But they talk about how, oh, these people don't know each other, whatever. Then you get to the end of season 1 and you find out Hannah and Jonathan, who were an incredibly strong couple, knew each other on the outside. And it's like,
They'd been on like a date, I think, even
yeah,
before,
they had
right?
gone out before. And it's like,
Well,
but you posed it like you didn't know. Nobody knew each other, but that was bullshit.
but then you also look back to the fact that, and this has happened in several of the seasons, but in season 1, they brought in, I think it was one of Jonathan's ex-girlfriends,
Right.
right?
Who at the time claimed, I
specifically
don't want any issues.
stir up trouble. So
Right. I
again,
don't
that's
want
why I
any
say
drama.
it's not reality, because you're having the producers and stuff inject things to
Forced drama.
purposely cause issues.
Right.
And look, I get it, right? It's ratings. It's TV ratings. They want to be the top, number 1 show. So how do you do that? You get people to watch. Why do people watch? Because it's a train wreck.
Right. And they just finished their 7th season. So clearly they're doing something right.
Right. Well,
That
and I think this is the second reincarnation of
Right.
Love Island UK, right? There was one before this.
2004, 2005. I think it was 2 or 3 years they tried it and then it just petered out. And then it came back in 2015. They just wrapped up their 7th season.
Yeah.
And that has now spawned Love Island Australia and Love Island USA.
But you stop and look at, you think if, again, we don't necessarily consider them reality because they're more, I'd say, competition based. You look at like The Amazing Race, Survivor, some of those shows. I mean, they've gone for, 10, 11, 12 seasons.
Survivor, I think, is on 19.
Okay, so I was off by a few seasons.
Let's see, I can tell you. Survivor, 21 years.
Format that, is easy to just drop in 6 new people, right? I mean, you don't have to tweak the format.
No, once you've created the format,
yeah,
you just rinse and repeat.
Yeah, maybe we put them on a different island this year.
Right.
And that's it. That's the only thing we changed.
And that was the thing about Love Island is it was actually filmed as Love Island UK, but they film it off the coast of Spain in Mallorca. And that's where it was until they eventually moved season 6 to South Africa.
Yes.
Season 6 was in South Africa
there as well, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't watched it yet.
I think they went back to Mallorca. I haven't watched it either, but I think they went back. So, I mean, yeah, they've moved villas on the island, but you're in the same place. So your production team's already there and you're just relocating. Now Survivor may be a little different because they're jumping from islands to islands to islands. Every season is supposedly a new place. But how the fuck would I know? Like you could film it on the same
reality. Yeah.
Right. You could film it on the same set of islands in the Caribbean, just on different parts of the island every season. And I'd never know.
No, not only that. I mean, they very well could just be filming it on the same sound set they filmed the moon landing. So problem solved.
Right. Because we know that didn't happen. But yeah, I just started thinking about this idea of reality TV and I went, what I thought was reality TV ain't reality TV. It's not.
Right. It's again, I think, and you start using almost legalese and stuff where, you're trying to interchange words, you start saying, okay, well, this is reality TV. No, it's really more scripted or unscripted TV, right? It's because it's not really reality, but there is no script specifically written for it.
Right.
So,
and then
I think competition, competition shows are their own individual, even though they say that, oh, that's like Survivor, Naked and Afraid, which is just god awful. Is another one that they consider, but to me it's like, well, that's a competition show,
but
it's
that was
not a reality.
Right, that was another one I did read about where the contestants said after the fact that cameraman and the production team would give them things, give them food and stuff like that. Apparently, one woman got sick, got food poisoning from a dish that the production team gave her, but in the final edit, it claimed that it was from bad water,
some berry or something.
Yeah, and it was just like, so why not? I mean, it's like, but that's not realistic. Don't give him anything. What was the one? He was the guy, the adventurer. Bear Grylls.
Oh yeah.
The whole thing on Bear Grylls was he's going to these ridiculous remote places and living off the fucking land and surviving. Turns out like he wasn't out there surviving. And I don't know if this is true. It's just things that I've read and you take the internet for what it is, but he was staying in hotels at night and then coming back out and the production team was following. Right. I mean, he's never truly alone. The production team's following everywhere. He's got medical people there with him in case something happens. Now, the counterpart to that was, I can't remember the name of the show, but it was Les Stroud was another one. It was like some I think it was like called Survivalist with Les Stroud. And it was literally Les Stroud would go out and he would live off the land or whatever in swamps. But he had his own camera. So he'd have to walk a mile, set up his cameras, then go back and walk toward the camera, filming himself and then do his thing and then take down. Like he was doing all of his own setup and takedown. And again, assuming that's really what happened. But it's like Bear Grylls wasn't true reality TV in terms of getting dropped into this isolated, shitty location and having to survive. Like he's trying to teach you how to survive. I don't ever intend to be dropped out of a helicopter into the middle of the fucking Sahara Desert. That's not my goal. Know. Okay, fair enough. But I mean, if that's the case, I'm going to watch Castaway with Tom Hanks. And if my fucking plane ever goes down in the ocean, that's how I survived right there. He did it for 4 years. I don't know. It's just, I guess the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, reality TV isn't really reality TV in terms of my approach
No,
to
it's
it.
not. Like I said, I think if you really want to boil down what reality TV would be by the true definition of reality, I mean, it would be the news, right? It would be something like a Cops. That would be reality because that's what everybody lives. It's not these, kind of made up shows. And look, like I said, they're fun to watch. I don't judge anybody or blame anybody for watching them. We watch them ourselves sometimes, but they're not reality.
No, and you did mention, I want to look this up real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, I mentioned a lot of things, so you're probably gonna have to be way more specific than that.
They did one, it was because you mentioned back at the beginning, you were like, if somebody really wanted to make a true reality TV show, you mount cameras, get rid of all the production staff, mount cameras in a home, and then let people go on the internet, right? Big Brother tried that.
I thought they maybe had tried something similar to that.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, like a Big Brother 24/7 or something like, and it was literally a live feed that you could watch any time of the day, just go online, and it was just cameras in the house,
but it wasn't. I mean, that was kind of more of just like a side part of that season, right?
Right.
They still had the edited TV show going on, but you could go online and, let me go see what, let me go watch this person sleep, which is, incredibly creepy.
And that's, but I think that's the Americanized way we do things, because you've watched Love Island UK. It's Love Island UK. There are 50 episodes or whatever, and then it's done. When I got to Love Island USA, they filmed the normal episode that we watch edited on TV, and this airs on CBS. So of course it is considerably muted from what Love Island UK. In Love Island UK, there's nudity, there's sex, there's foul language. CBS dumped 30 million into it. Here, there's none of that. The production value is massive, but the 45-minute show is just the standard show. But then what they do is they go, oh, but there's Love Island Laid Bare, and there's Love Island Unscripted. Like there's all these different shows that you could go on and watch, which were basically the behind the scenes version of it that you didn't get to see during the normal edited nightly version.
And guess what?
What?
As you watch those, you get interrupted with TV ads.
Of course.
So,
not that I didn't actually watch them, but it was like, it was interesting it's interesting that that's the way they, did I say I didn't watch it? That meant I watched it. I totally watched it. It was interesting that they did it that way, because it was another way to tie people in instead of just doing it on the show. They're like, oh, we're going to give you this other show that you can now go watch. So I guess it helps up their viewership in terms of letting people go watch other portions of what's going on. So
yeah, I mean, and I think because we haven't said it yet, you hit the nail on the head. I think part of at least for me, the interesting thing with watching Love Island UK is, like you said, right? It's completely different television than what you see in the US because of what they're allowed to show, and what they're allowed to say. So it's kind of interesting from that standpoint to see something in a different culture. So there's that kind of appeal to it for me as well. Like I said, I don't think you and I have talked about this. I don't think I would enjoy Love Island US anywhere near, like, because again, I haven't watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, any of those shows. So I don't think I would enjoy the Love Island US because it's people just like, some people just like you and me, because again, they're all chiseled and have nothing else going on in their life. But you pick up the different lingo and stuff from like the UK and the
I've learned a whole nother language.
Right, exactly. How many countries are in this country? So I think there's some of that is the appeal to watching that show as well, for me at least.
And I know, I mean, there may be people out there that watch it and they literally are just like plowing through popcorn and drinking soda going, this is totally real. I mean, maybe those people.
No, and I think there are some people like that, right?
Yeah.
But I also think there's people that, do make it kind of an event, right? You and I have talked about doing that, like having the watch party for season 7,
Right.
So, I mean, from that standpoint, if it brings people together, then it can't be a bad thing, I guess.
True.
Unless you start believing, but it's like anything, right? If you start believing that that's real, just like with movies, if you start believing that, that can really happen, then you've got a delusional sense of reality to begin with, probably.
Yeah, and that's I think part of my problem with the competition approach is that whole voting thing seems so fucking scammy because it's like, hey, get this app and vote, and your votes will be revealed Sunday night. And then you get to Sunday night, and the person that wins, you're like, there's no fucking way. Like, so
Right.
is it's like, yeah, you're plugging your votes into an app, and I get it, and there's no charge for the app or whatever, but it's like, because as you said, production is trying to nudge things one way or the other. Are they going, well, who should we leave on the show to create the most drama, to continue that viewership? If this person
Right.
gets voted off, that's going to potentially hurt us. So, hey, let's look at these votes. They didn't come out the way we wanted, so let's just alter it. Who's going to know?
Yeah.
No one.
Nobody. Well, I mean, it'll eventually come out. It probably has in other shows. You've had people come out after the fact and say, well, really wasn't the way things happened.
Right.
But that brings up another great point of, again, it not being, reality. There's been several seasons again of the Love Island, and I'm sure this happens in other TV shows where you can tell there's a specific contestant that everybody really likes, and for whatever reason they just can't get along with somebody, or they can't find love, and they basically start just churning people through. Okay, this person we're specifically bringing them in for you.
Right.
Nope, that didn't work out. All right, we're bringing in somebody else. It's like they're going out and saying, okay, and I think Mrs. Mack has even said that there have been people after the fact that said, look, I was specifically brought in and told, go after this person because we want you to go after them to cause some drama.
Right.
They're already in a couple, go after them. And in one case, I think she said, and I don't remember who it was, they actually ended up liking somebody else. So the producers got really pissed and they ended up getting voted off.
Right.
So you wonder again, how much of that is kind of staged behind the
scenes. Yeah. I imagine a good portion of it in terms of some of the things that
Right.
I've seen. The other interesting part that you and I talked about earlier in the week, and I would be remiss if we didn't bring it up, is we're taking these people, we're assuming unknown to each other. We're cramming them in a house. We're hoping they get along. Naturally, drama will be created because all personalities will not jive. And then,
Right.
as you said, producers are tweaking here and there and nudging here and there to boost drama. And due to that fact, at least on Love Island UK, a few of the contestants have actually committed suicide post show. Season
But
2.
I guess, go ahead. Sorry. No,
I was going to say season 2 and then the follow-up season 3 both had contestants that after the fact went on to commit suicide. Now, not necessarily in connection with the show, may have had their own issues. So we're not saying any of that, but it actually led the producers of the show to put protocols in place in terms of therapy for the contestants to help manage those situations. Because of course, in a lot of ways, when they're on these shows, some of the, as you've seen, some of the contests that they are involved in are hearing Twitter tweets or headlines about them or about things on the show. And, obviously that helps to cause drama and cause strife and separation within the house and create an issue, but that drives viewership. But ultimately that does affect, because these are all young, impressionable people. They're not in their 40s. Some of these kids are 18, 19 years old.
Yeah. I mean, I think 29 is like the oldest I've seen of anybody that's been on at least, again, this particular show we're talking about.
Well, the Hulk was 32.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, like that's the outside, that's the extreme of the upper age. Most of these are between like 18 and probably 24.
25. Yeah, 24, 25.
And so mentally it just beats them down. And obviously that causes issues. So again, the production company comes in and they go, we need to put some shit in place so this doesn't happen.
Bad press for us.
Right. Yeah. Now they will say, I'm sure somebody out there goes, well, negative press is still press. It's your name is out there.
Right.
But not necessarily the press you want associated. And I feel for those families that have had to deal with that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I'm glad that they are putting things in place, obviously, to help these contestants. Because I think when it started, like you said, it's like, oh, well, let's just try it and see what happens. And nobody thought, well, we should have certain protocols in place to protect people because nobody had experienced that yet. But it can't be hard having, even if it's edited, having everything you do thrown up on the big screen for scrutiny. Because ultimately that's what it's going to be.
It can't be hard or it can be hard.
I'm sorry. It's got to be hard.
Thank you. Okay. I was going to say,
I think I said can't. Yes,
you did. And that's why I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Yeah. Cause you're right. I mean,
it can't be easy.
And in today's society, which everybody go back to season 1 and listen to our internet and social media podcast. With social media, these people just get beaten down, and we talked about it again before. They're like, look, that's not the person that I am.
Right.
Up until the point where I know of several of them have like completely dropped their social media accounts because it was just not good for their mental health because they were getting beat up so much by people that they didn't know.
And maybe it's a different class of people that watch a show like that versus Top Chef. Oh, your cake didn't come out. You're a piece of shit, worthless loser. I don't think that's happening. I don't think people are hammering on.
Like all I do on Instagram is.
Oh, is it when you watch those shows?
Your ganache was too runny.
Was it?
Fucking loser.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I just that because they're there for like that one episode, maybe a few hours. What's the one? It's like 4 chefs and they compete in each one. I think it's Top Chef.
It might be Top Chef. I don't
and
know.
One gets dropped after the appetizer and then one gets dropped after the main course. And then the last 2 compete after dessert, whatever it is. Like, but they're only there for a few hours. It's like they're filming it like in the morning, you're going to cook the appetizer, the afternoon, you're going to do dinner. And then for the evening, we're going to do dessert. So it's one day you're done. It's not like you're living there 6 weeks cooking meals. So there's not a lot of time for people to watch and scrutinize everything you're doing. But these shows like that, it's like they just get fucking hammered on sometimes. And I imagine like when The Real World started, obviously, it was interesting watching season 1 of The Real World, watching people, they're picking up a phone, corded phone to dial and call friends. There were no cell phones.
What's a corded phone?
I know, it's crazy. But it's like, and there's a whole thing about a pager in season 1. If you haven't watched it, I don't want to give it away. But it's like pagers were all the rage at the time. And so, nobody had cell phones. Nobody had access to social media because it didn't exist. So, you couldn't get hammered the way you can today. And
I know, again, back to, the one that we're specifically watching, another thing that they've put in place, at least in the UK version, is they're limited to 2 drinks a day.
Right.
So they're not just sitting in there, lounging by the pool, getting hammered. Right. I mean, they limit them because they know, right? I mean, if you put people in that situation, it's not going to end well, probably. So yeah, they're limited to 2 drinks a day. And then of course, everything else is water or whatever they want to have. But so that, they are putting protocols in place. It seems to try and make things a little bit better and not go too far over the deep end with things. One thing we didn't touch on, though, and I don't know that we want to go too far into this, was a whole nother kind of almost genre of reality TV, and that would be, I want to say, early to mid 90s daytime talk shows.
Oh, Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But there were a whole host of them. The Jerry Springers, Ricky Lake, Montel.
Yep.
Even Oprah kind of started.
Who's the guy that got hit in the face with the chair by the KKK guy?
Geraldo Rivera. Yep, that was kind of good. And I only bring this up because I was just watching a kind of a docuseries about, they were talking about some of these. That was kind of the one that kicked off everything for that kind of format. Because originally, when they brought Jerry Springer in to start his show, it was way more, I guess at the time, and I didn't really watch it, Phil Donahue was kind of the gold standard, of daytime talk shows.
Right.
It was kind of more laid back and a little more subdued.
Sally Jesse Raphael.
Yeah. But, when they first brought in Jerry Springer, his show was, they basically said, we want you to be the Phil Donahue light. He did not have the crazy, shit show stuff that went on later on in his show until, they got to the point where they were going to cancel his show because it just wasn't working. And shortly after that, that Geraldo Rivera episode where they had the neo-Nazi skinheads on with some of the African-American people, and they got into a fight and started throwing chairs. And the people over at Jerry Springer said,
we found a new format.
That looks like it might be right in your wheelhouse. And God damn it, if he didn't make a career out of it. I mean,
he had the security guard, Steve
Wilcox, who then parlayed that into his own talk show.
I can't believe you know his last name. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
You
I
were a
know,
big
right?
fan, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was a whole nother kind of sub. And again, though, you look back at it and you will go, well, how much of that was reality? I mean, how much did they say, hey, look, I'm going to pay you, $100,000 if you come on and say you married a horse and had sex with it,
Right.
and then throw a chair at somebody, right? I mean, I have no doubt. Look, there are, well, I want to say there's not that many crazy people in the world that you could fill up that many seasons,
Right.
but maybe there are,
Exactly.
which scares me. But yeah, that was a whole nother kind of genre of what you would kind of maybe consider reality TV at the time,
Right.
and just there's no real, and the same can kind of be said about Love Island, The Bachelor. There's no real value or substance to these shows, right? They're there for us, honestly. And certainly in the case of like a Jerry Springer or any of those shows, they're there to make you feel better about yourself. Going, shit, my life isn't that damn bad.
Exactly. I mean, I guess watching reality shows and going, that's legit, is on par. And please don't get offended, because I know you're a huge fan. Would be like watching wrestling and thinking those storylines are legit. I think I've just lost him, ladies and gentlemen. He's giving me this
What?
fucking go fuck yourself and die look.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute.
Santa's not real,
there's
and WWE is scripted. I'm sorry.
no, I don't believe you.
Let me break the news to you, brother.
Look, I've been to a WCW. So I'm dating myself a little bit there. I've been to a WCW event before, and
Quality.
I'd be hard pressed for you to. Hey, at the time, Ted Turner was involved. It was quality.
That's right.
To try and tell some of those people that shit's scripted.
That's what I'm saying.
Because they were into it.
But
no, you're right. I mean, again, that's another one. It's like it's not really reality. Look,
No.
again, and you and I've had this discussion. I am not going to take a knock on any of the stuff that they do, because it is without a doubt very physical.
Right.
Right. And you have to be in good shape to do a lot of the stuff that they do, but it is not real. And they'll, I mean, it's kind of the point where they'll even tell you, right? I mean, it's not real. It's all scripted. It's all staged. It's all choreographed. But when you fall from a ladder 27 feet up in the air, choreographed or not, it's just going to take its toll on your body after a while.
Exactly.
So from that standpoint, and I don't want to go too far because it's not anything to do, but that's another one that is absolutely scripted. Storylines are created. And they eventually, I think, even changed the name, like you said, to WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment.
Right.
Because they knew, right? It's straight up entertainment. It's not anything other than that.
And so it's weird. We get this weird bleed over in terms of, reality TV. You've said the word a few times now. It's unscripted TV. What's real, what's not. It's like they give you enough of what's real and yet still manipulate the situation so that they have control over it. But still giving you enough to go, well, it's rooted in reality, and therefore we can call it reality TV. But it's not. It's, at least to me. And I know other people out there are going to listen to this, go, you're fucking full of shit. You're an idiot. It's totally real. And so is WWE. And I'm never listening to your podcast again. And look, well within your rights if you want to. I'm just telling you from my perspective, I think reality TV is a very specific approach to TV. You take ordinary people, you put them in situations which would be considered ordinary, like a Cops, like a Deadliest Catch, things of that nature. Like certain things are just not realistic. Like you said, sticking someone in a multi-million-dollar villa and letting them eat, drink, and suntan all day, every day for 6 weeks. Whose reality is that? No one.
Yes, please.
Right.
Right. You have people lining up out the door to sign up for things like that.
But then let's take the other aspect we haven't even covered.
Oh, shit.
Reality TV, competition TV, whatever you want to call it, is the belief in the format. I'm sorry. We're going to stick you and 9 other strangers on an island for 6 weeks, and you're going to find love. Bachelorette, we're going to stick you all together for a month, and you're going to find your Prince Charming. 90 Day Fiance, we're going to stick you together for 3 months, and you're going to find your man or woman. I mean, come on.
Right.
Like that format, like you're not going to get fucking slammed together and then be like, I'm in love with this person forever and
Look.
always. I mean, I don't understand that format. It's like,
I think, and we've done the, kind of some of the research because, we're losers, after the fact for, Love Island UK on some of the seasons that we've watched. And I think there are two couples that I can recall that are still together after everything was said and done and have gone the distance. One of them actually, they had a child together and they're still together. And the other was the bromance of Chris and Kim.
which is never going to die.
Can you really call that a relationship? You see a lot more of that, right? Coming out of, at least that show of, look, we're friends. We're great friends and we still hang out and we do things together.
The unfortunate thing about The Bachelor, and I will say this because it hurts my heart.
Oh, I don't want it to hurt your heart.
I know,
Would
but
you like me to caress it?
as a lifetime fan of the Florida Gators, it
I
does
thought you were
hurt.
going to say a fan of Lifetime TV.
No, it does hurt my heart to know that one of our own, Jesse James Palmer, was on
he was
The Bachelor.
on The Bachelor. I know that. Yeah.
And it's painful to say it, but sometimes we make bad choices in life. Jesse, nobody blames you. You did what you had to do at the time. But yeah, so I mean,
Look, there's a chance that some of those guys, Aaron Hernandez, may have been on Cops. So what?
that's
We
true.
don't judge.
Not judging.
Ooh, that was a bad joke. Sorry.
That was that's like, and Tim Tebow will have his own Sunday syndicated show.
Yeah, he will.
those church shows.
Yeah, exactly.
What are they?
That's more likely to happen than him ever playing football again. So
Again, one of actually
televangelist,
a well-known one that actually went to Big Mac's
Jimmy
alma
Baker.
mater. Big Mac's alma mater, Creflo Dollar, West Georgia.
State University of West Georgia now, I think.
Now,
very much.
but yes, Creflo Dollar out of Atlanta was he's a televangelist and he was an alum of, if I'm not mistaken, West Georgia.
I believe you are correct. Yes.
And so obviously those are, just some of the issues in terms of reality TV that we've touched on. One of the other ones we didn't touch on was celebrity reality TV, The Surreal Life on VH1, when VH1 was a thing before MTV swallowed them up.
Celebrity wife swap.
Okay, there you go. Well, see, like wife
That's
swap.
that's not my reality.
No, wife swap was another one that I think was reality TV. You were taking two couples and you were plucking them out of their specific environments and sticking them and going, let's see how you react. And then, now I think the producers were purposely picking wacky
Opposite
ass and
couples.
right
and
on
wacky
purpose.
people
Yeah,
to, they picked, the, tattoo artist from Las Vegas to go swap with the
Christian
Mormon
family.
husband out in, Utah. Right. I mean,
right.
they were, again, trying to, it's still somewhat reality, but they're specifically putting people in situations to create drama.
Right. They're taking a woman who's probably tattooed from head to toe, wears short shorts, boots, and a tank top, sticking them in a house where everybody's in fucking button up shit. And then
Jehovah's
the wife,
Witnesses,
right?
yeah.
The wife wears a dress from her neck to her fucking feet, and she's walking into a house, and it's like, what? Talk about culture shock.
I actually think that was an episode, so I'm
probably
the question
was.
whether you weren't watching or not, buddy.
Did I say I wasn't watching it? I didn't watch it. Now you know I've watched it. Yeah, but there are so many things that we could cover in terms of reality TV. But I think, obviously, over the last what is now 30 years, in terms of, again, Cops being the longest running reality TV show, is we've blurred the lines, as we do with most things as a population. We've blurred the lines about what reality TV is. I'm sorry, but Keeping Up with the Kardashians, to me, that's not reality. Because as you said, we identify with what we know, and that's not my reality. That's never going to be my reality.
It's not. It's scripted to make things look a certain way.
Right.
They have a brand, and they're not going to do anything and they're not going to let anything be televised that's going to tarnish that brand. Right. And they shouldn't, right? Otherwise you'd be an idiot.
And they've grown it into a massive brand, the family as a whole. So I think it's definitely an interesting topic. I do appreciate you coming on. There wasn't much debate, and I don't think we approached this thinking it was going to be a debate as much as you and I debating what was or was not reality TV, as opposed to debating.
We really got to that,
Okay, well, what do you think reality TV is then?
I mean, again, I think if you want to really boil it down to the true definition of reality TV, and we've talked to, it's the news. Again, you can go into a show like Cops, maybe that's kind of, but even then, I think maybe early seasons, yes, definitely reality TV. Probably as they went along, they were picking specific things. Obviously, they weren't making, I assume they weren't hiring people to go get arrested
No,
or
but I
act out
imagine
certain scenarios. But
in a full day's work in terms of shooting, they were probably like, okay, that call's boring, that call's
right,
boring, that call, and only editing the calls.
yeah,
that
and I
we
mean,
see.
how much film do you have to go through to get,
Right.
a 30-minute or an hour long episode
And
of
how much did you have to cut out that were just, oh, it's a routine traffic stop yet again.
right.
Brother, thank you for being here. I have enjoyed this. I know again, there's always something missing when we're all not here, but it doesn't diminish it in any way because obviously you bring something to the table. We all do. And so I do appreciate you being here. Thank you for your take. Even if we didn't answer any questions, we discussed it
touched on
with
the topic.
amongst ourselves, right? And we
Yeah.
tried to come to an understanding between the two of us.
And maybe somebody will chime in, shoot us an email, tell us, hey, this is what I think reality TV is,
Yes.
or why I don't think this is reality TV. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. And on that note, just go to spiriteddebates@gmail.com. Take Mac's advice, drop us a line. Let us know what you think. Give us your opinion. Give us your insight. Give us a drink to try. We love drinking and we'll be willing to try it. Mac, especially if it's a wacky fucking drink. He loves wacky drinks. Obviously, you can check out
another orgasm.
You should I wait for it? You threw off my groove. Oh, that was kind of nice. And so we move along. aspiriteddebate.com. You can go there. You can check out all the drinks that we have on the show. You can check out all of our podcast episodes there in the vault. Feel free to check out our YouTube channel at A Spirited Debate. YouTube channel's up. We'll be posting new content on the reg. Did I just say that? Yes, sir, I did.
I was just going to let it go.
Yeah, let that go. But, thank you for coming in, joining us today. All of you mass debaters, love having you on and looking forward to the next one. Please check us out at anywhere you get your podcast. Please check out season 1. And now we are well and good into season 2, episode 7. Looking forward to plowing along and seeing what other wacky shit we come up with. So Mac, to you and all the listeners, I bid you adieu and have a good day.
Oh, thank you, Thor. It was great.
And as always, we close out the show.
Salud.
Cheers.